All right, so today we're diving into fiberglass.
Fiberglass.
But not just the, what it's used for, you know?
Right.
We're talking about the actual job, being a fiberglass machine operator.
Yeah.
We're going deep, folks, and we've got a ton of RoleCatcher stuff on this, so
Their guides are pretty thorough, yeah.
this could be way more interesting than people think.
It's more than just, what, bathtubs and boats, right?
Basic.
The whole composite industry is huge now.
That's what's wild. This RoleCatcher guide makes it clear you need skilled operators. This isn't, I don't know, just hitting a button.
No, absolutely not.
They talk about adjusting the spray, troubleshooting if the machine goes haywire. It's like you need a real feel for it.
It is. It's like you have to understand the materials, the resin, the fibers, how it all comes together. Like I always think of it almost like baking. You know, you get the ratios wrong.
Disaster.
Exactly. You're in control of that mix.
So brains and brawn, because the guide also mentions this isn't a desk job, is it?
Let's just say.
Hmm.
You'll be on your feet. A lot.
Hmm.
And might need to lift some heavy stuff.
Okay. So maybe not for everyone.
Yeah, there are definitely some things to consider.
But, Jody, RoleCatcher really pushes the career growth here.
Oh, that's what's cool. They point out this can be like a launch pad.
Yeah.
You master this, and then it's injection molding, pultrusion.
For those who might not know, pultrusion is kind of like making fiberglass Legos, but super strong.
That's a good way to put it. And from there, the sky's the limit, right? You specialize, you get into quality control.
It's like learning the language of how this stuff is made.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's get practical. RoleCatcher also has this whole interview section.
Oh yeah, packed with questions.
From entry level.
And all the way to, like, senior positions.
But what I like is they don't just give you the questions. They talk about what they're really getting at.
Right, like, how do you make sure the product is good? Or tell me about a time the machine messed up. What'd you do?
They even have, get this, AI video analysis so you can practice your answers. It's wild.
Mm.
But before we jump ahead, someone's listening thinking, okay, maybe this is me. What are the must-have skills to even start?
Well, obviously, you got to be good with your hands, right? Mechanical stuff has to make sense. But just as important, honestly, attention to detail.
Oh, interesting.
Even a tiny bit off in that spray pattern, it can change the whole product. That's what separates the good from the great.
Okay, so if someone's like, all right, this is me, what's step one, practically speaking?
Well, I mean, you mentioned the RoleCatcher job board, and honestly, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Instead of going to like 50 different websites,
Right.
they pull them all in, but then they break it down. Like, here are the skills these employers want.
Yeah.
It's like having your own personal, I don't know, job market guru or something.
Or just blasting your resume out and hoping you can actually target it now.
Exactly.
Smart.
And speaking of resumes, we can't forget those soft skills.
Oh, right, of course.
Communication, being a team player, problem solving. Those are huge, even in a job like this.
Because at the end of the day, you're working with people.
100%.
Okay, but let's say you've aced the application, the interview.
Yeah.
Your IN. What's a typical day even look like? What are you actually doing?
So picture it. You walk onto the factory floor, it's buzzing, machines are going.
Okay, I'm picturing it, yeah.
First thing, usually, you're setting up your machine for the day.
Okay, what's that involve? Give us the behind the scenes.
So you're configuring the spray patterns, making sure the flow rates are right, basically just like triple checking everything's good to go. And it's detail oriented, like we said, because any little mistake.
And there goes the whole batch.
Exactly.
So you're not just pushing buttons, you're responsible for whatever comes out of that machine.
Exactly. And throughout the day, you're keeping an eye on it, troubleshooting if something goes wrong, making sure that fiberglass is being applied exactly how it should be according to whatever you're making.
So you got to be adaptable, think on your feet, especially when problems pop up.
100%. And that's just the beginning.
Wait, there's more.
Always more to learn. As you get better, you might even start training other operators.
Yeah.
You know, sharing what you've learned, almost like a mentor. It's a whole other level.
Okay, so I'm seeing this progression. You start with the basics, mastering the machine, and then as you gain experience, you can really start to take ownership and move into more specialized or supervisory roles. But let's be real, we've talked about the physical demands, but are there other challenges people should be aware of?
Well, I mean, it's a factory, right? So it's going to be loud, it's going to be kind of dusty, you got to be okay with that. And honestly, some days it's the same thing over and over.
That's a good point. Not everyone's cut out for that.
Right. But for the right person who likes mastering something, seeing a product come to life.
Then knowing they were a part of it? But even with all the hands-on stuff, this career path, it's like surprisingly intellectual too. You mentioned needing to understand resin ratios earlier. What's that all about?
It's chemistry, really. The strength of the final product, how long it lasts.
Mm.
It all comes down to getting those ratios right.
Oh, wow.
Too much resin, it might be brittle. Too little, it might not set right. It's a balancing act.
That's where the whole continuous learning thing comes in,
The
right?
big time.
Yeah.
Because this industry, it's not standing still. New materials are being invented all the time, new techniques, better equipment. You got to keep up.
And resources like RoleCatcher are clutch for that.
Absolutely. They do a great job of breaking it all down.
Yeah, it's like the bridge between like textbook knowledge and actually being on the factory floor.
Exactly.
So how does all this fit into the bigger picture? What kind of impact do these operators actually have on the world?
I mean, think about it. Fiberglass is everywhere. Your car probably has some. Planes, even like wind turbines, those use fiberglass.
Oh, wow. I never even thought about that.
Your phone, even, probably has some fiberglass in it.
Seriously?
Yeah. And behind every single one of those products, there's a team of people who made it happen, including those fiberglass machine operators.
They're kind of like the unsung heroes of manufacturing then.
In a way, yeah. And as we need stronger, lighter, more eco-friendly materials, they're going to be more important than ever.
It's a career with a lot of potential then.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now and in the future.
So for our listeners who are totally intrigued and want to learn more about the actual ins and outs of being a fiberglass machine operator, stick with us. Because in this next section, we're going to really dig into what it takes to make it in this field.
The skills, the right mindset, even some of the, curveballs that get thrown your way. And the good stuff, too.
Right, the rewards. We talked about actually making something you can see, touch. But what else might surprise people? What's rewarding about this career that they might not expect?
It's funny, I talk to these guys, these seasoned operators, and they'll say, man, I love knowing I'm part of something bigger.
It's not just a job then.
Not at all. Like whether it's those lighter cars that don't guzzle gas or parts for wind turbines,
Yeah.
there's a real pride in that.
Building the future, not just a product. And for those who, are all about sustainability these days.
Huge motivator.
Totally. And let's not forget, like you said, you're always learning. That's got to be rewarding in itself.
100%. This industry, it doesn't sit still. New skills, new tech, keeps you sharp.
And in demand.
Exactly. The more you know, the more valuable you are.
So even though this isn't some cushy office gig, it's not like your brain is off.
Not even close.
All right, but let's be real. Got to ask the challenges. What blindsided you? Or what do you think people wouldn't see coming?
Teamwork. Now you might think, okay, I'm at my machine.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's a team effort.
So you can't just be a lone wolf, headphones in.
Nope. You're talking to your colleagues, to the supervisors, other departments even. Being able to explain what's up, what you're seeing, any problems, that's huge.
Because there will be problems. I mean, it's manufacturing, right? Things go wrong. How do you roll with that?
That's where that problem solving comes in, big time. You got to think fast, figure it out, often when the pressure's on.
So not for the faint of heart?
It can be intense, especially if there's a deadline looming, but for the right person.
Yeah.
Who likes that puzzle, that hands-on fixing stuff?
The adrenaline rush. Okay, so you've painted a good picture of the day-to-day, but zoom out for us. What's the whole career look like? Someone starting out, what's realistic?
Well, you're not going to be running the show on day one, right?
Right. Got to pay your dues.
It's about building that solid base. So you'll probably start entry level, maybe assisting the more experienced operators, learning how things really work.
And then from there.
That's where it gets interesting. You get some experience under your belt. You might specialize, like maybe you're the mold guy or you're amazing at this one technique.
You become the person for that.
Right. Or you go into quality control using what you know to make sure everything's up to snuff.
That attention to detail, again, seems like a natural fit.
Absolutely. And if you've got that leadership bug, you could move up supervising a team, even running a whole production line.
Okay, so there's room to grow.
Oh, yeah. And even if down the line you're like, you know what, different path. Those skills you learn, they're gold in any manufacturing job.
Like we said, it's more than the machine itself. It's the materials, the process, thinking on your feet.
100%. Those are valuable anywhere.
So for our listeners who are like, this is amazing, but do I even have what it takes? What advice would you give them, like, right now?
First off, don't just imagine it, go see it. Find some local manufacturers, look them up online, see what they're doing. You might be shocked what's being made with fiberglass. right in your town.
Ground yourself in the reality of it.
And you never know, right? Could spark an idea. You could look into an internship. Even just open your eyes to something you'd never even considered.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
So education, training, obviously important.
Huge. Even though you don't need a fancy 4-year degree for this, the right training makes all the difference.
Where do you even start with that?
Honestly, some of the best programs are at tech schools, community colleges. They have certificates specifically in composites manufacturing.
Okay, so it's focus.
And a lot of times, they'll even help you find a job afterwards.
Even better. Okay, but what about someone who's already working? Maybe in a factory, maybe something totally different. How do they use what they have to get into this?
Love that question. Because it's all about those transferable skills.
Break that down for us.
So you look at what you're already good at and how it applies to this world. Like, say you worked in a factory that was super fast-paced, or you know about efficiency, teamwork, deadlines.
All stuff that matters in this job.
100%. Or maybe you haven't touched fiberglass, but you've worked with other machines, other materials.
Yeah.
That tells me you're adaptable, mechanically inclined.
Which are basically must-haves for this role.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to sell those skills on your resume, in your interviews. It's about showing them, that you're not just clocking in. You actually care about this stuff.
Passion, that's what they're going to remember.
For sure.
Man, we've covered a lot today. From the factory floor to, the future of how things are made.
It's a lot to take in.
I'm kind of fired up about this, honestly.
Me too. And it is a cool time for this whole industry. We're talking new materials that are like sci-fi stuff. Automation's changing how it's all done.
And let's not forget the eco-friendly angle, fiberglass being part of that greener future.
It's like innovation meets responsibility. Pretty awesome time to be getting started, if you ask me.
Find that thing where your skills, what you like to do, and what the world needs. It all comes together, and this could be it for the right person.
No doubt. It's hands-on, it makes you think, and it's doing some good in the world. Hard to beat that combo.
You've given everyone a lot to chew on today, but before you go, any last bits of wisdom?
Yeah.
Something they should do, like right now, if they're interested.
Don't just listen to us talk about it. Go see it. Seriously, find some manufacturers in your area, check out their websites, what are they making. You might be blown away what's using fiberglass that you'd never even think about.
Bring it home, make it real.
Exactly. Could spark something,
Yeah.
An idea, a lead on a job? Even if it's just, never thought about that career.
That's what this is all about, those aha moments.
Exactly.
Well, it has been fantastic having you on sharing all this.
Anytime. Happy to be here.
For anyone listening who wants to connect, learn more about what you do, where can they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. Pretty active there. Just search my name. Should pop right up.
Perfect. We'll toss that in the show notes, too. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of fiberglass machine operation. It's been a wild ride. Until next time, keep those gears turning and keep exploring.